my time in the Marine Corps and say from the beginning when I arrived at Camp Pendleton after boot camp in San Diego. We came up on cattle cars, pretty well packed in. We were going to be going to Infantry Training Regiment, or ITR they called it, map reading and compass reading and all the rest of that stuff. And we got up and they put us in formation, and then they start calling out names, and my name, and actually Tom Duff, who I had joined the Marine Corps with in St. Louis, he was also called, and another friend of mine, Gil de Hoyos. Well, he wasn't a friend at that time, but we became good friends and are still friends almost 50 years later. We were called out. They called our name and they said, you fall in over there. We went over, fell in to a formation sort of, and they said, okay, you people have mess duty for 2 weeks. And mess duty consisted of getting up at 2 in the morning and getting things prepared for those guys who were going through the training, and have them breakfast, and then they went to the field, and they would sometimes come back for lunch, and then they would most of the time come back for dinner. Because I had made PFC out of boot camp, which no one else on mess duty had, I was made the doorman, which meant that I had a clipboard with the different platoons that were attending or going through the training, and I had the troop handler who wore a Smoky Bear hat like a drill instructor, but they weren't drill instructors. They just kind of made sure we were where we were supposed to be or where they were supposed to be. And I would say, you know, how many troops, and they would tell me, and I'd mark it down. That was my sole duty there. Yet the others who were on mess duty all had assignments like working, washing dishes, serving chow, cleaning up after chow, and pretty much the real work. And I didn't. And so I didn't go around asking, hey, isn't there something I can do? That was my job, was to take down the number of people that were going to be eating from each platoon. So I went through that, and the honcho of the deck was a fellow who went through the same series in boot camp, but was in a different platoon. He was he always put the big guys in charge, you know, try to intimidate you. Well, he saw me not doing much other than taking numbers from the door, and so he went to the cooks who were corporals, and he says, how come I tell him to do stuff and he won't do it? And they had asked me, you're supposed to do this, I'm the honcho of the deck, and so you're supposed to do this. I said, I'm a PFC and you're a private. I don't take orders from a private. So they went to the cook, and the cook says, he explained to him that I wasn't doing anything, wouldn't do what I was told. And Cook says, he's a PFC, you're a private. You don't tell a PFC what to do. And generally after I did that, I went and had coffee with the cooks. We just kind of sat around and talked to the cooks. Well, he didn't like that, but I did help out from time to time when I felt like it. But he couldn't give me orders. He understood that. Anyhow, I was there, and it was kind of boring. And we all smoked at that time. Not all, but most everybody smoked. So you'd have to go out behind the mess hall to smoke. And there was this tall hill that was behind the mess hall, referred to as Old Smoky. It was a pretty steep hill. And we were there just kind of talking, and I said, I could go up that hill, because I was in good shape. I could go up that hill and back in half an hour. And the cooks who were back there with me said, you can't do that. He said, you couldn't get up there that fast. I said, yeah, I could. He said, it's going to take 5 minutes to get down the hill, because it's pretty steep, and you'd have to come down on your heels, but you could get down if you didn't fall. I said, I could do it. I bet you $1. I didn't have much money at the time. And he says, okay, you're on. So I went down, got into my t-shirt, and had my boots and everything, and I started running up that hill. And I didn't get too far before I was kind of walking up that hill. But you're bent over, you're almost touching the hill with your hands as you go. It's quite steep. And so I got up there in about 20 minutes and knew I could get back down that hill in 5 minutes because you're coming downhill, and even if you fell, you'd probably roll to the bottom. But I got up to the top, and it leveled off to a plateau, and it was all these old wild flowers and stuff, and it was just kind of pretty, and you could hear the ocean. And I, being from Missouri, hadn't seen the ocean. When we came up in the cattle cars, you could see way out there, but you couldn't see the shoreline. And so I got up there, and I said, I wonder what's on the other side of this plateau, which was probably 150 yards at least to the other side. And so I ran over to the other side, and I was pretty tired too, getting up there in 20 minutes. And got to the other side and looked out, and there you could look down on San Onofre Beach. And you could see the waves breaking in and see out over the ocean. It was really beautiful, and I had never seen that before. And it was a beautiful day, and so I just laid down in the flowers or weeds or whatever they were, and just kind of laid in the sun. Probably over an hour, took a little nap, and then went back to the other side and went down the hill in short order, in less than 5 minutes. I just went all the way down. I got down, and they were down there, and they said, "You didn't make it up and down in a half an hour." I said, "Yeah, you won." And I gave him his $1. It was worth the $1. It was really a pleasant experience. My first real view of the ocean, and relaxing up there, and with the sun and the wind blowing and all. It was really, and listening to you could actually hear the surf.